Hello, Nathan. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Can you briefly describe your role in the company you work for?
So, I am the marketing coordinator slash marketing director. Basically, I'm a marketing department of one, and I'm responsible at my current company, not just for marketing, but for all of the graphic design and video work that gets put together for all of our efforts.
Perfect. Thank you. And how long have you been using TrustRadius for software purchasing decisions?
I've been using TrustRadius since, gosh, it feels like a million years, but it's really only been about 4 years. But we had a pandemic, and that just stretched things out. So I think I started using TrustRadius in 2019.
Perfect. And then what is the size of a typical buying committee for your organization when you're looking to make software purchasing decisions?
So at my current company, it is between me, if it's within a certain defined budget, or me and two others, my CEO and my VP of sales and marketing.
Okay, perfect. And then can you describe how you use TrustRadius to make a purchase decision in your organization?
So that's a great question. I'm actually currently using TrustRadius to make a purchase decision. We are getting rid of our old marketing automation platform because it just wasn't living up to what it was promised to be. So I'm currently using TrustRadius to compare a couple of other options so that I can get reviews and see how people like me are using these two different platforms I'm considering.
And when doing that, are you using TrustRadius to do software discovery, discover new products, or is it really you've got a short list and you want to compare those, or you want to read about each one, or kind of what does that use case look like for you?
So in this particular case, I had a short list that I walked in with. I've got two products that I'd used previously, haven't used in several years. And so I just wanted to see how others were using them currently. So I was doing a side-by-side comparison in Trust Radius of those two products and looking at their overall ratings, their ease of use ratings, and the price differences between them.
Perfect. And then, kind of along with I guess when researching these products, do you look at the overall score? Are you looking at the content of reviews? Are you looking at feature ratings, product videos, integrations? What is it that you really leverage to help make that decision?
So I start with the overall score. If it doesn't at least top 80%, I'm just not going to keep looking at the product. But with ones that meet that benchmark, then I'll dive into the reviews because the qualitative reviews are really helpful for me. Seeing the use cases, how people are actually using the software really helps me out when I'm trying to make my decisions. Because if somebody's using it for something I haven't even thought of, that's also helpful. Or if they're not using it for any of the things I thought I was going to use it for, that's helpful to me as well.
So then, how much does content quality play into this versus just snippets from people? Like, what is it that really matters to you?
Oh, content quality is super important for me. We can all read Amazon reviews, and half the time they're just real funny because anybody can write one about anything. But with the Trust Radius stuff, it's people who are in the weeds like I am using this stuff on a daily basis and knowing how the way people describe how it's affecting their work and whether or not it's improving their quality of work or making it harder to get their jobs done is something you don't get from a lot of software reviews that I found elsewhere. Um, it's just I don't know how to say it. The quality is a huge thing for me. Just the time people spend on it.
Okay, perfect. And then kind of comparing TrustRadius with other mechanisms for making software decisions, whether it's other review sites or anything else that you consult in that process. Um, what can you tell us about what you like in these other sites, what they might be, and then how that might compare with the benefit you get from TrustRadius as well?
So one thing I noticed, my industry has kind of a site where everybody puts their information on what they're using in. but we all have been using the same thing for years, long before I was in the industry I'm currently in. And they all use the same guy essentially. And so there's not a lot of good review information because it's a good old boys network. And so that's very frustrating. So TrustRadius has been great for me with this because I'm not relying on, the same group of guys who all go play golf together. I'm actually looking at the information from people who are using the software that I'm considering. And then other times, if you just Google for reviews, it's like throwing darts in the dark. You might get something good, you might not. And I know that supposedly AI is going to help us with that, but I think all that's going to do is just start scrubbing things like TrustRadius for the information that's um, not going to actually make it any easier to find those particular reviews that help make the decisions.
Okay, perfect. Appreciate that. How do you feel about the accuracy, trustworthiness, and helpfulness of the content you find on TrustRadius?
So I've been really happy with the accuracy. It's it hasn't steered me wrong. Let's just put it that way. I've had a couple of situations where I was considering moving to a different platform for some of the video work that I do. And this was a couple of years back. And the kind of buyer beware stuff I got on the platform I was pondering really helped me to decide, yeah, maybe I should just stick with what I have. And it was from these people who are out there and they were posting links to this is what I made and this is why I don't like it. And that really helped a lot.
Awesome. So it sounds like uh, TrustRadius can help you avoid a potentially poor software purchase as well.
Yeah, there I was thinking I was going to save some money and there was a whole bunch of people that posted you're not saving any money because you're going to waste time. And that definitely helped me with my decision.
Okay. And is there anything about TrustRadius you feel could be improved or to better support your software purchasing decisions or features or content that you would like to see added?
Um, Yes, actually, and this is something I discovered this morning and thought I was hoping you'd ask me this question. So I was looking for the software that I'm looking right now, and there's a very specific field when you're going to find things to compare side by side that looks like you should be able to type a search term into it, but you can't. It's just a drop down menu and you have to scroll. So I know that's really granular in specifics, but that's the one thing that I was like, boy, man, there's a lot of stuff here. I don't really want to scroll through it all.
Okay, perfect. No, that's great feedback and exactly why I asked. So, are there any things specifically on the site that you would say are beneficial? And I guess I'll preface that too with, are you aware that we've recently added things such as security profiles to understand the security posture of companies? We've also added interactive demos. We've been collecting a lot of demo videos. Are you aware of those and have you used those?
I actually am not, but I am now. So the demo videos I'm definitely going to go looking for because if people put as much time into those as they do into their reviews, it's going to be super for me.
Okay, perfect. Um, and then I would just ask, can you quantify the time or money saved by using TrustRadius in your software selection process?
So um, with what I mentioned earlier, a video application I was looking at replacing, I probably saved myself 2 or 3 months worth of just learning how to use a piece of equipment or piece of software by not purchasing it because of the reviews I saw on Trust Radio. So that or Trust Radius, that was a huge time savings for me right there, and just not having to learn new software. Um, I also didn't. Whenever I'm using it, I'm not wasting time trying to filter through things on Google. I can just have that one-stop shop for reviews that I know I can really bank on to be accurate and useful.
Okay. And then as far as frequency of usage, how often are you going through these purchase cycles? What does that look like? Are you doing this a couple times a year? Are you reevaluating everything every year? What does that look like for you?
I evaluate something at least once a year. We don't change up our platforms very often. And honestly, the situation I'm in right now with getting rid of my old marketing automation platform was not an ideal one, and it's going to require a lot of time and money investment. Um, but it's because we'd made the wrong choice, and it's because I didn't have the opportunity to compare in TrustRadius. It was kind of something that was handed to me when I took the position. And had I been involved in the purchase decision from the beginning, I definitely would have come here and probably not waste the money on it. But about once a year, I'm hitting TrustRadius. I'd love it if you guys had. Do you have hardware reviews? I haven't actually looked for that.
We do. We don't have as many as we do of the software products, but there definitely are some pieces of hardware, and it's an area we play in, things like routers or firewalls, as specific examples. But not
Okay.
as heavy there, but an area that we're always looking to expand in.
I will definitely mention that IT guys who are always looking for, the next firewall or the next router. So I'll suggest that they
Awesome.
check you guys out.
Perfect. And then kind of putting trust radius aside and thinking about software purchasing, um, is there anything that you see as a trend in your mind, or things that vendors are doing maybe not well, or any thoughts you have on how to make software purchasing better for you?
Um, so I've got to be, totally honest here. When companies started moving to subscription-based and cloud-based options for software, I was real hesitant. I'm going to speak specific about Adobe when the Adobe Creative Cloud started. I used to spend, guaranteed $550 to $700 a year buying the next version, sometimes more. And I thought to myself, this is just a money grab. It's a cash grab. It's not going to be any good. But a lot of these software companies have, in this transition, are providing new software regularly. And I'm not out hundreds of dollars every time they do it because I don't have to spend all this extra money. And I think that's a good trend. I don't know if that's, necessarily the best business model compared to how it used to be. I haven't looked at how, Adobe or Autodesk's finances work, but as an end user, I really appreciate that because it helps me to not have to reinstall things constantly, not have to shell out, $1,000 on a license every year. I can size up or size down based on my team as needed and not have to stress about those extra unplanned costs.
Awesome. And then finally, when making these decisions, how much do you consult with the vendors themselves? Do you talk to salespeople, or are you pretty much self-serving for yourself in that buying process?
So I'm very self-serving in the process because I don't necessarily like to talk to salespeople or vendors. Um, Oftentimes because they just tell you what you want to hear and it's not actually what this can do. And again, my current situation and having to get rid of my marketing automation platform, it's because the vendor and salespeople way overpromised and very much underdelivered. And so now here I am 7 months into what was supposed to be a heavy marketing campaign cycle, and nothing's happening, and I have to replace my software. And by the time it's all said and done, I'll have lost almost a year of good marketing development for my company because they didn't come someplace, with real reviews. They just trust sales guy.
Awesome. Appreciate that feedback. Well, perfect. That's the end of the questions I have for you today, Nathan. I appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you very much. I hope I was vague enough that you could use this chat